What is ACE? ACE abbreviates as angiotensin converting enzyme. Now blood enters through this part, moves through this part, and GFR is developed here. Glomerular filtration pressure is somewhere here. The angiotensinogen first is converted into angiotensinogen second by ACE, that is angiotensin converting enzyme. This came from the lungs, the pneumocyte cells of lungs. This came from the hepatocyte cells of liver. This angiotensin 2, it itself acts as a vasoconstrictor, that is, it increases the blood pressure and also stimulates the adrenal gland that reabsorbs NaCl, that is sodium and chloride and water. This is called conditional reabsorption, thus increasing the blood volume and the ionic concentration. Welcome everyone to our 10-minute series where we learn some vital concepts within or under 10 minutes. In this session, we will be covering the topic of RAAS. RAAS abbreviates as the renin angiotensin aldosterone system. This system includes kidney, it includes liver, it includes lungs and the adrenal gland. That is, here you find two glands and two organs. All this collectively constitute the RAAS, that is the renin angiotensin aldosterone system. So the conditions in which RAAS is active, the first condition is if GFR, that is the glomerular filtration rate, is less. If GFR is low, the RAAS will be active. Simultaneously, blood pressure will also be less, or the blood volume, you can say, will be less, or the blood sodium chloride levels, that is the ionic concentration is less. In these conditions, this system is active, that is the renin angiotensin aldosterone system. This system is active. What actually happens in these conditions when GFR BP is low? In these conditions, the JG cells. What are JG cells? These are called juxtaglomerular cells. In which organ they are present? They are present in the kidney. There is an apparatus called the juxtaglomerular apparatus formed by the DCT and the Bowman's capsule. So this JG cells, that is the juxtaglomerular cells, releases renin. Liver here releases a plasma protein. This protein is called angiotensinogen. This is called angiotensinogen. This angiotensinogen, it is released by liver into the circulation, that is in blood, into the plasma. You can also say it is a plasma protein. In the presence of renin, this angiotensinogen, that is in active form, is converted into an active form called angiotensin first. This is an active form called the angiotensin first. Now the role of lungs come into action. Now the role of lungs come into action. What does lungs do? Lungs secrete ACE. What is ACE? ACE abbreviates as angiotensin converting enzyme. This converts angiotensin 1 into another form called the angiotensin 2 or the angiotensin second. Fine. This converts angiotensin first into angiotensin second, that is by ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. This angiotensin second, first it is a vasoconstrictor. This is a potent vasoconstrictor. If there is vasoconstriction, then blood pressure will increase. Then this will do what? This will increase blood pressure. Second, it stimulates the adrenal gland. It stimulates adrenal gland to release something called aldosterone. Now, what is aldosterone? You must know, if you have studied excretion, that aldosterone has some functions. The first function is it increases the reabsorption of sodium ion and water from DCT, distal convoluted tubules. This is also called conditional reabsorption. Since it is influenced by some hormones, this is called conditional reabsorption. Fine. Secondly, it also has another function. It causes constriction of another blood vessel. See, this was also a vasoconstrictor. Which one? Angiotensin 2. Aldosterone also helps in constriction of a blood vessel called the efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole will constrict. Now see, what happens if efferent arteriole constrict? Say this is the efferent arteriole. This is the efferent arteriole. This is glomerulus and this is the efferent arteriole. This part is the glomerulus, that is capillary. This one is the efferent part and this one is the efferent part. Now blood enters through this part, moves through this part, and GFR is developed here. Glomerular filtration pressure is somewhere here. Now if what is written? Constriction of efferent arteriole. If you constrict this arteriole, means if this blood vessel, the efferent arteriole, becomes more thinner, then more amount of blood will come, but less amount of blood will exit. More amount of blood enters from here and less amount exits from here. So the net pressure develops from this side. That is, the glomerular filtration will increase. That is, it will increase the GFR. Now let's see whether our problem is solved or not. First, the first condition was GFR was low. Here we can see that the GFR has increased. So our first problem is solved. our first problem is solved. That is, the GFR has already increased. This was our first problem regarding GFR. This is now solved. Second was the blood pressure. Let us see whether blood pressure has increased or not. Definitely yes. The angiotensin 2 acts as a vasoconstrictor and increases the blood pressure. So our second problem is solved. This was our first problem. This was our second problem. The third problem was blood volume and blood ionic concentration. The blood volume and blood ionic concentration, this problem is also solved as DCT reabsorbs sodium, that is iron, and water. So our third and fourth problem is also solved. This is all about the RAAS mechanism. You can also refer to this diagram. This is nothing but the one we have explained right now. This includes the kidney, which releases renin, which cells? The JG cells, juxtaglomerular cells. This activates angiotensinogen to angiotensin first. And where angiotensinogen came? It came from liver. The angiotensinogen first is converted into angiotensinogen second by ACE, that is angiotensin converting enzyme. This came from the lungs, the pneumocyte cells of lungs. This came from the hepatocyte cells of liver. This angiotensin 2, it itself acts as a vasoconstrictor, that is, it increases the blood pressure and also stimulates the adrenal gland that reabsorbs NaCl, that is sodium ion chloride and water. This is called conditional reabsorption, thus increasing the blood volume and the ionic concentration. We have also seen that this aldosterone also increases the GFR. How? By constriction of the efferent arteriole. Clear? So this was all about the RAAS mechanism. Hope you enjoyed this session. Follow the channel for more such 10-minute sessions where we understand these vital concepts in 10 minutes.